welcome to our English News Edition. These are the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, arrives to New York this Saturday to take part in the works of the 78th Ordinary Session of the United Nations General Assembly. USM Algiers won the African Super Cup, beating the Egyptian team Al Ahly on Friday in Saudi Arabia. The President of the Republic congratulates the team, wishing them more victories. And in Jaya province, where ongoing efforts are still deployed to extinguish the fires that broke out thanks to the civil defense elements supported by People's National Army units and forest protection units. In Libya, the national television is following the operations carried out by the Algerian civil defense units, which succeeded on uncovering 36 bodies. Activists of the Reef movement demonstrated today in Brussels to denounce the repression applied on rights and freedoms while announcing the creation of a new party. Those were the headlines. First of all, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, arrived on Saturday evening in New York to take part in the 78th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the United Nations. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, left on Saturday Algiers to head to New York in the United States of America to take part in the works of the 78th Ordinary Session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Tebboune reviewed a detachment of the Republican Guard that gave him the honors at Ouari Boumediene International Airport of Algiers. The President of the Republic was greeted upon his departure by Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, Army General, Chief of Staff of People's National Army Said Shingeiha, and the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency of the Republic, Mohammed Nadir Al-Arbawi. The presidential plane was escorted by the Algerian Air Force jets of the People's National Army in the Algerian airspace. The proceedings of the 78th General Assembly of the United Nations is an opportunity for Algeria to reiterate its strong and unchanged principles inspired by international law and the UN Charter, such as the respect of nations and sovereignty and non-interference in the internal affairs of the countries. A significant and an important meeting for Algeria, which is preparing to become a non-permanent member within the Security Council. Canal will tell us more.
Since it joined the United Nations on October 1962, Algeria has established strong principles of its diplomacy, respect for sovereignty of nations, support for just causes, and always favoring dialogue as the only means of conflict resolution. Driven by these strong principles, the President of the Republic has pledged to continue efforts to reform the United Nations Security Council and to establish a more representative and balanced international order. Algerian diplomacy succeeded in resolving one of the most serious diplomatic crises in the 20th century, the American hostage crisis in Iran. The conflict was resolved thanks to Algerian mediation with the release of 52 American hostages. Thanks to Algeria's mediation, another conflict was resolved peacefully, that between Eritrea and Ethiopia. On December 2000, the two parties signed an agreement in Algiers. Algeria has spared the Sahel region from a real disaster thanks to the Agreement for Peace and Reconciliation in Mali, signed on 2015 in Bamako. Regarding the Western Sahara, Algeria continues to deploy sustained efforts to resolve the conflict in Africa's last colony. More recently, in October 2022, it was in Algiers that 14 Palestinian factions came together to make peace after several years of disagreement, mediation led by the President of the Republic. Recent developments have vindicated Algeria's diplomatic stance on the crisis in Niger. No interference and peaceful resolution must always be the priority.
Football now. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, congratulates the USM Algiers after winning the 2023 CAF Super Cup on Friday evening in a final match played against the Egyptian team Al Ahly. A 1-0 score was more than enough for USM Algiers to lift the CAF Super Cup trophy, even though they were playing a hard team, Al Ahly of Egypt. A historic night for the fans and lovers of the USM Algiers will never forget. Story by Manal Mafa.
The second African star emblazoned the shirt of USMA only 3 months after winning the CAF Cup. Despite the game being tactically difficult and complex, a brilliant penalty allowed USMA to snatch the African Super Cup against the Egyptian Ahly club, which was defeated in the Saudi city of Taif in front of the will and determination of the warriors of coach Abdul Haq Ben Sheikha. The people of Algeria have proven once again that they love challenges, regardless of the name of the opponent team or its football history. This coronation is the second of its kind after the one achieved by ES Sirif against the Ahly of Egypt as well. This legendary victory will forever remain in the books of African and Algerian football history. Back in Algeria, a very festive atmosphere prevailed. The fans took to the streets to chant slogans and share their happiness with everyone, including our reporters on the spot. They also thanked the coach for these historic achievements and hoped for future legendary victories.
Following the President of the Republic's large-scale reshuffle in the body of Walis, provisional governors and deputy Walis, the Minister of Interior and Local Authorities, Brahim Murad, presided over the installation ceremony of Tlemcen's new provisional governor, Hussein Bishlawi, Maasker's new governor, Farid Mhamdi, and Saida's new governor, Marmouri Amoumin. We have new developments concerning Bujaya's wildfires. National Gendarmerie departments of Bujaya province succeeded in arresting the person behind these wildfires that broke out on Friday night in Ashil Bez in Bulimet, as a 56-year-old man who is living in the same province. It should be noted that the National Gendarmerie are still carrying out the investigation. Civil defense units supported by People's National Army units were able to control most of the fires that broke out in several forests in Jaya province without causing any casualties. Efforts are still deployed to extinguish a fire in one of the forests of Ushilbaz area in Bulimat. More details with Ines Kalou.
Several forest fires erupted in various parts of the country this summer, and this time fires affected the province of Bijaya, more precisely Bulimet in the village of Ashlbaz, in the tourist village of Sakit. The winds contributed to their spread, according to witnesses, but civil defense teams were immediately mobilized to control the fires.
We
live in this area and we witnessed that the security agents did all what they can to extinguish the fire, but the winds contributed in its spread. Security agents, members of civil defense and those of the National People's Army took all the necessary measures to control the fire. In order to preserve the lives and property of citizens as well as the forest wealth, the planned plan was activated to confront the fires in the combined efforts of civil defense and forest fires teams with the help of the People's National Army's firefighting aircrafts.
سجلت مصالح الحماية المدنية لولاية بجاية عدة تدخلات لحرائق الغابات.
When the fire were reported, we immediately sent our men on the spot. All human and material means were mobilized for this intervention, in coordination with the services of the Forest Conservation, the National Gendarmerie, and the National People's Army. The contribution of the local residents has obviously helped us to get to the scene. It is also thanks to the helicopter of the Civil Protection that we have been able to control the fires, despite its difficulty, due to the winds that helped speed up its spread.
In record time, all the fires reported were controlled, and this was made possible thanks to the mobilization of the civil defense teams, members of the National People's Army, as well as forest protection teams, and all citizens faithful to their principle of solidarity. Despite the control of these fires, vigilance remains constant in anticipation of any emergency.
On the international scene now, and after the severe storm Daniel, the death toll in Libya exceeded the 11,000, with no less than 20,000 people missing. The UN affirmed that 900,000 people in Libya are affected by these floods, while 300,000 are in need of humanitarian aid. The Algerian Civil Defense Team is carrying out search and rescue operations in Derna and succeeded to uncover 36 bodies. Zawiya Al-Hamil Al-Qasimiyya, the source of knowledge and the cradle of scholars in Algeria, is honoring the professor Youssef Mentalshta, one of the pioneers of the Algerian University's revival, alongside the word reader Saad Salim, who snatched the second prize in the international competition of the Holy Quran. Abroad now, and in Brussels, members of the Reef movement took to the streets on the occasion of the celebration of the creation of the Reef Republic. Demonstrators also denounced the crimes committed by the Makhzen. More details with Rani Al-Bahri.
From the heart of the European capital, Brussels, the voices of Reef activists are risen from their exile as they remember the heroism of their ancestor on the 102nd anniversary of their cause. People who do not know Reef and its cause must know the historical person, as many writers and historians have described him. The man who made the history but didn't enter to it. The leader Muhammad bin Abdel Karim al-Khattabi. This man founded the Republic in 1921. The Reef Republic was an independent republic with a constitution. It has Speaker of Parliament, ministers, and it even has an infrastructure that wasn't in Morocco during the French colonial era. These marches coincide with the tragedy left by the Moroccan earthquake, so that these activists express their sincere solidarity with the afflicted. May Allah welcome the dead in His vast paradise. We are here today to remember and remind our loved ones and our citizens that there is a day that we must rejoice in every year. We are in solidarity with our brothers in Morocco, and we have mercy on all victims. We must mention that this tragedy was caused by the Makhzen, because those villages were timed mines that would have exploded at any moment. Deprivation of the most basic social rights and the continuous persecution of the Rif people by the Mahsen regime are images carried out by these people. Since 1956, this regime has been committing heinous crimes, such as the 1958-1959 massacre, while it killed, raped, burned, and in 1954 buried people in mass graves, without forgetting the year 2011 and the year 2016, when they assassinated Mohsen Fikri. This regime wants to exterminate the Rif people in any way. The Rif activists also took advantage of this anniversary to revive serious thinking about supporting the cause through political action by establishing the National Republican Party. The basic principles that the party defends are to revive and restore legitimacy to the Rif Republic. As the people of the countryside, we do not consider ourselves to be at the stage of establishing the Republic. The Republic was founded by our ancestors in the year 1921. We, as Rif people, we have the right to self-determination because this fact was previously decided by our ancestors, led by Muhammad Abdel Karim al-Khattabi, before 102 years old. Away from the eyes of the media, the founding members of the National Council for Juniors held its first meeting, and its national office will be announced in the coming days in order to mobilize the international community around its cause.
That was it for today's night edition. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.